Powered by the Zapata Bread Studio. This is Straight Outta JerZey with JerZey.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Joe Zapata, Straight Outta JerZey podcast. And today's guest, little wrestling history. I got this Justin Race, who is the son of one of the most feared and greatest respected champions of all time, King Harley Race. I'm going to bring him on right now, my friend Justin Race. How you doing, Justin?
Hey, Joe. How you doing? It's good to see you.
Good to see you, man. It's really great to see you, man.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to ask you, when you think of the toughest men in wrestling, you think of Haku, you think of Paul Orndorff, and your dad is right there. One of the toughest men in wrestling.
Oh, most of the guys called him the toughest SOB, the toughest SOB they had to get in the ring with.
Yes, definitely, man.
I've been asked, you put Haku and Paul Orndorff up there.
Yep.
People always ask me, well, did your dad and Haku ever go at it, or and I'm like, well, in the ring, yeah, but they're like talking about real fight, who's going to win the fight.
Yeah,
and I'm like, they're not that dumb. They know that all that would happen was they'd really hurt each other. Mm-hmm. One of them might die. Mm-hmm. They're not that stupid. They're friends.
That's true.
I mean, with friends like that, who needs enemies?
Exactly. Growing up with your dad in the house, did he bring wrestling home with you? When did you know he was not your ordinary dad? Let's put it that way.
God. Very young. I knew he wasn't. Probably this might seem funny, but I was really little, and this is Dad teaching me cribbage in the dressing room.
I like
that picture. I wish we remember who we were playing. I do remember though when he'd go work and I'd stay back in the dressing room. Boy, those guys would teach me. They wanted me to beat him in cribbage so bad. They wanted me to play my dad and win. And so, I'd have like 5 of these guys go, now if you get, you draw this, you want to draw that, you want to draw this, you want to peg this, you want to peg that. And I'm like, guys, I'm 8 or I'm 7. Slow down. Well, yeah, I just learned how to, there was 52 cards in the deck. But no, it was interesting being back there like that. That was a cool photo.
Yeah, it's a really cool photo and everything.
I think Bill Apter took that. Many of the, I've said you've seen me post some stuff online.
Yeah, all the time.
A lot of the family behind the scenes photos. I'm not talking about like at our house or whatever, but the behind the scenes. Well, that was not taken by Bill Apter. That's when I graduated from college, actually.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
That was the interesting story about that. I actually asked my mom recently. I said, did you and Dad ever like argue or fight or disagree about me getting into the business? And she said, nope. He didn't even want you to even step foot in that ring.
Really?
Because he was one of the last of the traveling champions. He was wrestling 300 days a year, traveling another 2 weeks to get there, an hour every night, body falling apart. He said, you're going to college. Billy Graham, superstar Billy Graham.
Yep. And your dad.
You don't happen to have one of these, do you?
No. I saw that. I did see that at the big show. I saw that's cool.
On the back of it, Gorilla Monsoon and Muhammad Ali. That's
really cool. Really cool stuff.
Yeah, Billy was a heck of a guy. My parents, they were like, my dad said, you're going to college, you're getting an education, you're going to be home with your family. He all the things that he missed, he didn't want me to miss. So it was never really an option, so to speak. But football was my thing anyway. I was a state national champion wrestler, but I went to college on a football scholarship. Oh,
what position?
Wide receiver.
Okay, wide receiver.
I was a fast dude. I was a fat. Well, I also, I played football, wrestle, and then track and field. I was state champion 110 high hurdler.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't run the 100, but if you put stuff in the way, I can run it really fast. So that works out well in football.
Yes, it does. Now, did you know that your dad, it was kayfabe when you were young?
Yeah, and back to your original question. I knew my dad was different when I was old enough to see other of my friends' dads, and they, oh, my dad's, my dad's 200 pounds or something like that. And I'm like, I don't know anybody under 300. I always like to say, back in the room, I grew up with a bunch of 300 to 550 pound uncles.
Yeah.
I had some very big uncles. So, I mean, it was when they'd start treating my dad like the jungle gym in the swimming pool, like at the country club where we were members. It was actually across the street from our home, but my dad was the jungle gym in the pool. He's throwing kids there and throwing kids this way, and he's got 6 of them piled on one shoulder and 4 on another. And you start realizing, like, man, I don't see any of these other dads doing that. And then the travel, and my parents were fortunate enough to bring me into the business as far as, well, I was in 10 countries before I was 12 years old.
Wow. That's crazy.
With my father.
Wow.
So, the experience of traveling and all of that, and then going to the matches every night, and eventually you just kind of figure it out. But when I was younger, 6, 7, whatever, my mom and dad when we traveled with him most of the time. A lot of people say, how was it like growing up with your dad never home? He wrestled 300 days a year and this and that. Well, we were with him a lot of the time. I was like to say, I spent a lot of time with my father when I was younger, when I was a kid. It just wasn't home. It was in the dressing room or hotel room or Disney World or sightseeing or wherever we were in whatever town.
Your dad, obviously a physical sport, one of the toughest men, didn't show pain at all. I mean, did he ever tell you like, hey, never told you about the pain he had? Just kind of just did it.
One time I saw him. I mean, I've seen him grimace and whatever, but I just act like I didn't see it, and he acts like he didn't do it.
Okay.
And not, it wasn't that strict, but he, who of us over 50 doesn't get up and go, ugh.
That's right.
He started doing it at 30. So by 50, it was a freaking effort to get out of the chair. But I mean, I knew, once I figured a little bit out about the business, and I'd watch him, my mom and dad kind of, when I was young, they had a little code, what kind of matches are going to be Harley. And if he was wrestling Abdul the Butcher or Bruiser Brody or whatever, mom and I, or something like Bob Brown like that. I mean, imagine seeing your parent like that. The only time you ever see your parent look like that is if they went through the car window at a 70-mile-an-hour car wreck.
That's tough to see as a child.
That, to me, is a successful night at the race house. I see my dad come back to the dressing room pouring blood and sweat and whatever. Hey, good night. What an empty seat in the house. And and then you get older and you start realizing that, at first I'm like, why, Dad, all these people hate you. And and then I started wrestling as a little kid, and how little kids wrestling, they got the mats all divided up into fourths, and kids wrestling on fourths. Every time I'd wrestle, the entire auditorium or gymnasium, high school gymnasium, whatever, would focus on my match, and people would literally cuss at me and chant at me and yell for the other guy. They didn't care who the other guy was. They just wanted to see someone beat Harley's son.
Yeah, I'm sure. And
so I'd go out to the mat and I'd listen to this whole auditorium chanting, F Justin Race or something. I'm like, you're shouting this to a 7-year-old. You know that, don't you? And I'd say, Dad, why are they yelling at me? He's like, oh, it's because of me. Don't worry about it. Just go ahead and kick his ass. All right. So I did.
Yeah, that's cool. You said you had a lot of big uncles. Andre the Giant, I know he was at your house a few times, and he was your uncle. Any great Andre stories? I mean, I wish I met him.
Huh. Well, taking Andre to show and tell was fun. That's cool.
You took him to show and tell?
Oh yeah. Imagine the office, and this is elementary school too.
Oh my God!
Imagine, everything is built for elementary school kids, except for the teachers' chairs and whatever. So imagine Andre and my dad walking into the office of the school. Everyone in the office is like, what class is Justin in now? Or what room or whatever. And they're like, 102, sir. 102. And then they keep looking at Andre going, oh my God. And Andre walking down the hall of an elementary school.
Must have been.
He might as well have been an elephant, walking down a small hotel room corridor. I mean, he's like ducking and diving and trying to get other. And we finally got to the room. Of course, I knew he was coming. My teacher or whatever knew they were coming, but the assistant principal, teachers, whatever, were scared to death. All the kids loved him. I mean, he was like, I was talking about my dad being a jungle gym. Andre was a jungle gym. I mean, he'd stick his hands out and he'd have 4, 5, 6 kids hanging on each arm, and they were still 3 or 4 feet off the ground.
That's Andre.
But he was the nicest man you could ever think. Funny thing about it, he'd come in town every once in a while, and he'd stay. He wasn't working. He'd come in town to just, I guess, kind of hang out. And there was a store here in Kansas City that made big and tall store. It's called Michael's Big and Tall Man. And that's where my dad got a lot of his clothes. And of course, there's nothing off the rack Andre could buy, but they made clothes for Andre there at this store.
Oh, wow.
So, a couple days before he come in town, Daddy called down on Michael's. He talked to the owner. Yeah, that big son of a bitch is coming in town again. Better get ready to make some boat covers. My dad's, Yvonne, Andre's coming in town. So cook for 8. Wow. She's like going to the grocery store buying 8 steaks. Oh, how many people are you having for dinner? 2.
Yep. I'm sure the drinking, he can drink. Andre could drink.
Well, we had in the basement of our home when I was growing up. We kind of had, it was a big party basement. I mean, we had a dance floor and a bar and a pool table room and a media room, whatever. Problem was that the ceiling was 7 foot tall. Andre's 7'6".
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So once he maneuvered his way down the stair the poor guy, he had to shove himself or wiggle through everything he did in life. I mean, when you look at it, you really feel sorry for the guy. The world just wasn't built for someone that big. In fact, in our home, the home I'm talking about, we actually had the guest bedroom. My dad and mom had the guest bedroom extended and made into what we called the giant room.
Okay.
For Andre and Giant Bubba when they came in town.
Oh, wow. Giant Bubba's another big.
There's actually a bed and a closet and whatever that they can fit in. Now, both their feet still stuck off the end of the bed.
Oh, wow.
So a little 6-year-old Justin would go in there in the morning, and I'd go down the hall. My bedroom's at the other end of the wing, and I'd go back. I'd sneak in, and I'd take a feather or whatever I could find. And I'd sit there and tickle Bubba's feet or Andre. Justin, you leave me alone. Come on, Uncle Andre. Come on, get breakfast with me. Get up. Come to school with me. Whatever. You leave me alone.
Wow.
And so, just goofy things like that. There's the stories everyone's heard, but those are the kind of things that you take to heart. You ought to heard Bubba on a golf course. Oh my God. Giant Bubba?
Giant Bubba, yep.
Yeah. Oh, on a golf course? Huh. First of all, people look out their window. How many times do you see Harley Race and a 6'11", 300 and some pound Japanese guy walking down the course with a 4 foot tall blonde headed kid? Me. I mean, talk about just a mismatch. I mean, people look at it now. That's the odd couple.
That is.
Yeah. But Bubba, he had to have clubs made for him because he was so tall, and he had a set that he just left at our house here in Kansas City. So whenever he came into Kansas City to America, he and his wife Motoko usually stayed with us. Motoko and my mom were very good friends. Wow,
your dad was very big in Japan.
Oh yeah,
he was very big. Well, you've been there many times, like you said.
Yeah, he was actually proclaimed a god in Japan.
Really?
When he won the world title, and you might have this picture somewhere, for the 7th time at the Kiel Auditorium in June. It was June 10th, 1983.
Let's see, I don't know. I'm trying to dig it up. I have a couple.
Well, it's a picture of him hugging me.
Oh, okay.
If you've seen that picture, you might have seen that picture.
I've seen that picture. Yes.
Picture.
Yes, I have.
Anyway, that was him as he would after he did all the in-ring ceremonies, after he had set the record, won the 7th title. Mm-hmm. The hug was right as he was walking back in the dressing room. I was standing in front of the dressing room waiting for him to come, and he got there and I hugged him, and that's you could see me crying and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've seen that picture.
But that goes kind of back to Bill Apter. Bill Apter has taken every photo of us since then. Any private photos. Yeah. I mean, he left, he did the big cover shots and the magazine shots and whatever, but he always took little pictures like this. This is that same night.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. I've seen that picture. Yes. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
See, cool. Bill has a pose and do some family things. So we had some stuff around the house, not just in magazines and TV and this and that.
Yeah. I saw the great episode of Dark Side of the Ring, which you were on with your dad. They tell a story that your dad was offered some money from Vince McMahon. That's true? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was offered to skip the Starrcade in 1983, which had been, it had been built up between him and Flair since that was in 84. Yeah, since Dad beat Flair in St. Louis for the 7th title in 83 in June, they built the Starrcade up. Well, Vince offered Dad $250,000 to not go to Starrcade and to go to the WWF as the NWA World Champion.
Wow.
I guess do some sort of a ceremony where they were like join the belts, or I don't know what they were. All I know is my dad wanted nothing to do with it. He gave people his word he was going to be at Starrcade. They did the build up for nearly a year. My father, as you said, is a man of his word.
Yes, he is.
And he is not about to be a no-show.
Wow. I met your dad once in 1988 at the Meadowlands. I was a 14-year-old boy. I said he was very quiet though. I was surprised how he's very shy. Like he was he didn't say much to any of the fans. He just walked by us, was he shy? Was her type of person? He seemed that way to me, at least.
He wasn't necessarily shy. Let me put it this way. My mom did all the talking for the family. My dad not really got to say anything.
he didn't talk much. He used his hands.
Beautiful, beautiful woman, wonderful mother. But I don't know. She was just the talker. And my dad and I have always, his presence commandeered a room. He walked into a room. He didn't have to say anything. He just sat down. Everyone's like, just the way he looked and just the way he held to himself.
Yep.
And he just never was. He's dumb. He's like, what the hell small talk for? There isn't anything to talk about. What the hell's the sense of talking?
Yep, that's your dad.
Just like you go into the shopping center at Christmas time shopping, and I'd ride the escalator. My mom, the aerobics instructor and professional water skier, bounds up the stairs, and he'd look at me. Why walk when you can ride? He just had those things about him that why would I do that? I don't have to.
Kevin Nash said to me once that your dad was in the locker room and he was lacing up his boots, smoking a cigarette, and I guess one of the other wrestlers went up to him and was like, "Hey, you want to go over the match?" And he just said, "We'll do it in the ring." That was it. We'll take care of it in the ring. He was very take care of it in the ring.
Yeah, I actually am in the middle. I was just finishing some touches on my book, and I just told a story about my dad and Kevin Nash in a driving experience. So it's interesting to bring him up. But he just had that aura of respect around him.
Correct. He had a special aura,
and I don't know how many. Not necessarily younger, some seasoned guys, if they weren't working with Dad or whatever, and I was back in the dressing room, they'd sit down and talk to me, and they'd say, if only I could take a notepad and pencil to the ring with me when I wrestle your father. And he'd give me every minute or so, hold on, Harley, and let me jot down a few things. Okay, go on. He was like, they just didn't. Larry Mastelak.
Yes.
He's it. Yeah. He used to say that within 5 minutes, my father had the entire auditorium in the palm of his hand.
100%. 100%. Just like this.
Yeah.
100%.
He could get the fans up, take them down, get them mad, whatever. After all these years, when I do go out and do autograph things or personal appearances or whatever, or especially if I have to make speeches, I'll start my speech with, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for hating my father.
That's true.
Because I figured it out, as I get to my teenage years, and I'm like, this place is full, and they're all yelling at my dad like he's the devil incarnate.
Yep.
And we were just here last month, and they were doing the same thing, but it wasn't as full.
Wow.
So I'd look. So the more people hate you, the more people come to see you. He's like, you got it. That's exactly right. And after a couple of years, it took me out and figured out. I was like, yeah. I started instead of watching the match, I just watch him and how he took bumps. And I was like, yeah, you're right. He could make a broomstick look like a good wrestler.
Yes, he could. And the more people that hated him, the more money he made. Because
of course. Yeah. As I get older, I'm looking at the crowd going, oh, these people really hate you. Are we going on a cruise for Christmas? Or
so you got a book you're working on, correct? Is it going to be coming out?
Yes, I am. And my book is called Don't Tell Your Mother.
Don't Tell Your Mother. When's that going to be available?
Well, it's going to the editor in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
It's going to be hopefully sometime this year. I'm not sure yet. At first, I was in a rush. It's a series of stories. Don't tell your mother. It's all little things Dad and I did.
Okay.
It finished, legal or not. He'd look at me and don't tell your mother.
That's great.
So that's where and it's just a series of stories. It's not like a beginning, a middle, and end, or it's just stories. And I found myself really enjoying, it's fun. My nice memories, but then closing down the computer, every night, and you're finished, and you look up, and there's the picture, and yeah, he's still dead. And it was kind of, I had to stop for a while. It was affecting me, just every day, just drumming up old memories of Dad and I fishing. And I mean, God, he taught me to fish with dynamite. And I'll tell you the story.
Wow.
But I mean, just all these things, they're hilarious. But then when you're by yourself and you're thinking, it's like, man, I miss those days. It's just kind of hard on the psyche a little bit.
Yeah.
And I got so many of them, and trying to put them in an order, and so to speak. So I'm going to be handing him to the editor, who is going to help me put things in some sort of order. Again, there's no beginning, middle, and end. It's just story after story after story after story. And then after that, my publisher at this point, fingers crossed, will be the WWE.
Oh wow, that's tremendous.
They're very interested. Everybody I talk to the WWE, they can't wait to read it. Everyone I talk to, because they know the public stories about Dad and driving 100 miles an hour everywhere he goes, and and he didn't. They're like, he said, he explained away something with the worst excuse I've ever heard, but for Harley it was good enough. They're asking him about this and that and whatever. He said, well, I like to drink beer, I like to smoke, and I like to drive fast. Why not do them all at the same time? Of course, the interviewer's like, yeah, you're right. That's a good idea. He's like, agree with anything he says.
Yeah. He would get pulled over by the cops, and they would let him go. They'd be like, oh, you're Harley Race. Goodbye.
In 1977, my dad bought my mother a Porsche 911 SC Targa.
Okay.
Now, back then, they didn't have manufacturers all over the world. They just it was handmade in Germany and sent here.
Wow.
So mom had it for 3 days, and she's tootling around town showing off her car. Third or fourth day, she'd had it. Dad comes in and I'm, come on, we're going for a ride. I said, all right. So I get in the car. I know about his driving, so I'm expecting us just to peel off down through out of our cul-de-sac and down the side road, and maybe we might make it to a freeway at some point. And he just coasts along, and he coasts down the road, and he coasts onto a freeway, and I'm like, oh, this is different. Oh, by the way, the funniest part of the story, though, was watching him get into the Porsche.
Yeah, that's a floating.
I mean, we needed a couple of shoehorns and some wedges and a couple of crowbars, and you could work him in there. And the afro still stuck out the top of the target. So anyway, so he gets to this spot where there's this road south of Kansas City where it's 4 lanes, but there's nothing. They didn't even have police to patrol out there. So we got on that. He called it the Autobahn, and off we went. And now when you pass a cop going that fast, when you pass a police officer, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So, he's on, but what are you going to do? Several miles up the road, they had a Smokey and the Bandit roadblock across the freeway.
Oh, my goodness.
The police officers' cars, nose to nose, all the cars, all the police officers on the back of the cars with their hand, guns drawn, the shotgun things they pull out, all, like 20 of them just all drawn over the top. And so we see this, so we downshifts and we stop. And they approach the car, like kind of in a semicircle, like 15 of them, whatever. Some of the cops come around and they start approaching the car in a semicircle, kind of coming up on us. And they stopped, and one guy broke out. They've all got their hands right on their hips. And he comes over the driver's side. He looks down in the window, sees my dad. He looks up. Mr. Race, do you have any idea how fast you were going?
Mm-hmm.
Dad said, well, the speedometer was pegged at 150. I lie. The officer said, sir, you were going 160. Now, this is during the gas in the 70s. It was 55 everywhere. He said, sir, you were going 163 miles an hour. You were tripling the speed limit. And Dad says, wow, I saw you. I was letting off. In other words, I was going faster than that.
Yeah.
And he said, well, it's a new car I bought my wife. I'm breaking it in. And the officer says, sir, now that it's broke in, the speed limit is around 55, please. Can you some of the guys want some autographs? Would you mind? He gets out and he signs autographs, whatever. He gets back to the car. We turn around and start coming back home. He looks over at me. Don't tell your mother.
Hence the name of the book.
Yep. And I'll be on podcasts and she'll listen to him and I'll tell a story about he and I and whatever. A day or two or whenever later, she'll say, you guys did what?
Wow.
And I said, well, he didn't tell me to tell you when I was 35 or 40. He said, don't tell your mother. So I never told you.
Wow.
There's a second part of that though. I asked my father when I was older, I said, all this crap we've been doing all these years, and you say, don't tell your mother. I said, do you ever tell anybody? He's like, well, no. I'm like, so you don't tell the guys in the dressing room or whatever, all the stuff with you? No. And you never even asked me to, you goof. I told you, don't tell your mother. I'm not going to tell anybody either. So so it's a book full of stories. Many have heard, people have heard them on podcasts or whatever, but it's such a bunch of stories that really no one's ever heard about Harley Race.
Wow. Did he get along with Vince McMahon?
Vince, let me put it this way. You mentioned the Meadowlands earlier.
Yes, that's when I saw your dad in Meadowlands.
Yeah. So okay. We flew in, Mom, Dad, and I. And Dad was wrestling. I think he was wrestling Hogan at the Meadowlands. This is to give you kind of you were asking about how to get along with Vince or Hogan, which were basically two peas in a pod at that time.
Yes, correct.
I'll just give you an example of how my father was treated. So we get to the airport. I must have flown into BWI. Must have been in Baltimore. I can't remember. Anyway, we get there and the limo's there. Dad's work bag, his wrestling bag, that I don't know if you remember that old Halliburton or that big old metal Halliburton case he used to carry.
Yeah.
When I was little, I wanted to carry that thing for him so bad until my toes were so bruised and my shins were so bruised from trying to kick. I'm like, okay, Dad, you can have it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to carry my dad's bag. I thought it'd be cool,
Okay.
but I just couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So where were we?
The Meadowlands that you're talking about.
Yeah. So we get in there and we get in the airport. His Halliburton doesn't come off. His wrestling gear doesn't come off plane. So we get in the limo and we go on to the stadium, and he's talking to some of the other guys in the back of the room, and I was always back with him. I was one of the, I guess I was welcomed kind of in the dressing room with the guys. I mean, I was a well-behaved kid. I mean, my mom and dad made sure of that. But I was, like I said, I was just kind of one of those kids that just everyone liked to play around with, and everyone liked to play uncle with, and whatever. And it didn't help that, I mean, who was going to get mad at me with my father? You want to beat him?
Who's going to mess with your dad?
So we get to this show, and Dad's talking to somebody like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to wear tonight. I don't have any wrestling out in my shit. And he's supposed to be the king. And Hogan hears this conversation going on, and all of a sudden you hear Hogan's. This is right during the height of Hulkamania. I mean, he is the man. His voice booms above the locker room backstage. You could probably hear him out in the stadium. Anybody who isn't wrestling tonight, go to the airport and find the boss's luggage.
Wow.
And the whole room cleared out except for wrestlers. And they all went to the airport and they found his bag and brought it back.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
But Hulkamania Hogan called him the boss.
The boss. Wow.
And I've heard Vince call him boss, Mr. Race. I mean, there's an occasional Harley. I used to joke when I was younger that, the only thing that anybody ever calls your dad is the boss or Mr. Race or the king.
King.
I said, oh, my Harley. Because they've grown up with him. I mean, I had this, I started going to the same school district when I was in second grade. So a lot of my friends, he was just the big guy that made chocolate chip pancakes after a sleepover for them. Hey, he wasn't a wrestler. Now, of course, they had fun when like Andre or someone in town, I'd have all my friends come over and they'd kid around. But Dad was just, a big, nice guy that wasn't in town very much. But when he was, he'd make it a hell of a steak and good pancakes. Yeah.
I remember a big feud he had with Hacksaw Jim Duggan at the Slammy Awards.
Oh, God, that was funny.
And that was funny. Your dad got hit over the head with a live chicken. And Bobby Heenan.
Dad hit Duggan with the live chicken. I was standing right behind when they did this whole thing. It took a day and a half for them to do all that. You got to move. I mean, when you fight your way out of one room into another room, there aren't already cameras set up.
Okay,
you got to start over. I mean, it's TV. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
And when it was right when they were near the electrical panel and the fence, and I don't know where the heck the chicken came from, but when Dad started hitting Duggan with that chicken, I was standing right behind the cameraman and all that, and Mom and I started laughing, so I had to leave because my laughing was being picked up by the mics.
Yeah.
And I came back in and one of the other, it might have been Randy Savage or one of the guys walked past me and he was giggling too. And he looked at me, he goes, your dad just provided the best 10 minutes of television I've ever seen.
It was, oh my God, it was so funny. And that would never happen today. Today's wrestling, you would never see that today.
I don't, I'd be interested if they just did it and see what the fans thought.
Yeah.
I mean, after all, the customer is the client is always right.
That's true. That is true.
See what they think, because Dad had a dress shirt on, his wrestling tights and boots. Then they went through the buffet and they had fruit all over.
They were all over the place.
I think it was Randy Savage. It was one of the names. It wasn't Hogan, but it was one of the names. And walk by, and because I was walking away from the camera laughing my ass off because Dad's hitting Duggan with the chicken. And he had just seen what was happening. He turned around, he goes, "Your dad just provided the best 10 minutes I ever seen on TV." and what did I talk to? I talked to Hacksaw here, I don't know, a year or two ago. And I brought that up, and he said he's never had more fun in his life than doing that. He's like, it was like a day and a half wrestling match that we had little breaks to move the cameras around and all. And he said the funniest part is, like, if we take a long break, we'd have to go back and review the film because Dad can't have a big spot of cranberry sauce on his left side in one take and then on the right side on the next take. So they're throwing so much crap at each other and they're just getting, chickens and food and whatever. Yeah. They have to keep reviewing the tape so that when they started over, they look relatively the same.
It was hysterical, man. I love that episode. Now, your dad is only one of 6 men in 6 Hall of Fames. Were you at the Hall of Fame for the WWE when they inducted him?
Yes, I was.
Okay. What did your dad think about that?
Rick actually inducted him.
Yes, Rick did.
Here's another little interesting thing about my dad. And this is one of those, and all the wrestlers would say, it's just Harley. For the entirety of his career, every time I heard him around them, Ricky Flair, he called Rick, and Ricky Steamboat. I mean, let's say he called Ricky, and Rick.
Oh wow! Okay.
So it was Rick Flair. It was Ricky Flair and Rick Steamboat to Dad.
Wow, that's weird.
and they never corrected him or anything. It was, we'll just go with that.
We'll go with that. Yeah. Yeah. The Hall of Fame. Did you enjoy the Hall of Fame? Did they treat everyone?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. In fact, there's a couple of stories that go with that. First of all, a short story. It was 2004, and it was one of the first big inductions they had.
Yeah.
Huge auditorium, 20,000 fans in the seats, black tie, the whole thing. Now I think there was 10 or 15, maybe more guys inducted in that class.
Yeah, there's a lot.
All those old timers up there in a tuxedo, give them a mic and say whatever you want about your career. You're going to be there till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding. I mean, this was all supposed to, it started at 7, supposed to end at 10, meet at the bar for drinks and ceremony, whatever. 2 o'clock in the morning, there's Bobby Heenan still rattling on and on and on. Yeah. And, Rick gave the perfect speech for my dad because it showed the honor and respect that he and all of the guys showed for my father. My father, being who he is, gave credit to everyone else.
Wow.
He got up there and he said, I wouldn't be standing here if it hadn't been for the gentleman sitting behind me.
Wow.
And he's talking about what an honor it is that Triple H uses a high knee off a top rope like he did, emulating him. What greater thanks or what greater happiness or joy could you feel on earth and see a gentleman like that over there do a perfect move and call it a Harley move?
Wow. That's crazy.
And then he pointed at Rick, this man here, and he's giving credit to, he gave credit to the McMahon, and it's like, you're the GOAT. That's just how he is, and that's how he taught. He was very humble. You said shy. I would say humble.
Do you have any of his robes or memorabilia? His Hall of Fame?
No, I mean, I'm very much like him in that. Ask me that in a second, because it'll come off of this. My father, well, when I was young, we'd try to have dinner, we'd go out to dinner and just talk about school, sports, whatever, just family. People constantly walking up asking for autographs. It doesn't matter what restaurant. I mean, we're in Kansas City. You haven't seen him before. He lives here. And my mom would say, well, can't they at least wait till we're finished dinner? My dad would, Yvonne, that person paid for this meal. That person paid for your Porsche. That person paid for our home. You're nice to these people, or we'll live in a tent.
That's good.
And so later in life, he taught me the 5-minute rule. I was old, I was almost in college. He said, son, all your life, people are going to recognize you, recognize your name, recognize this, recognize that. Unless you're on your way to the emergency room because your arm is cut off or you're late from work, you stop and you give that person 5 minutes.
That's great.
You let them ask their questions, answer their questions, let them tell you their theories, tell them they hate me, tell them they like me. I don't care. Even tell them some stories, whatever. But give them their 5 minutes. He says, you want to know why? I said, why? It's 5 minutes they'll never forget.
100%.
And so I've always, when someone says it's an honor to meet you, I always say the honor is all mine.
Wow, that's really cool.
If you didn't know who my father was, who knows? Maybe I never went to college. Who knows?
Yep, 100%.
So it's interesting, and I get this a lot when I post. Like I answer people on Facebook and whatever. I do my best to try to get to everyone. I mean, sometimes there's just thousands, and I just get a bunch of thumbs up. But at least I try to acknowledge that I looked at that I appreciate.
Yeah,
their love and honor for my father.
Yeah, wrestling fans are very passionate. And I'm good friends with Travis Orndorff, who's the son of Paul Orndorff.
Yeah. And I know Travis through the.
And Travis said, he had this love-hate relationship with fans at first because they had his father's attention, not his. And then when his father died, it was the fans who helped him heal because he was depressed. And it was the fans who brought him back from being depressed because he said the fans showed him so much love. And like I said, how do you feel with your fans? I mean, are you the same way? You think the fans are, because they're passionate. They love your dad.
I can't. There aren't words to describe how much I thank them. I could not be more, again, to use the word humbled, honored. It's hard to explain the situation when two people meet and they're both honored to meet each other. But they're wanting me to tell stories, and they want me to hear about Harley, and I'm really interested. When did you first see my father wrestle, or how did you see him in this match? Did you see him in that? I'd like to hear what they have to say. Because you get into this Q&A type thing with fans a lot, where they're just like question, and it's like a machine gun at you, question. You're trying to answer. Whoa, let's just have a conversation. When did you first see Dad? When did you meet him? But that's back to that 5-minute thing. Dad, I pretty much remember the first time that my father signed an autograph for someone, and they asked him how much. He said, "How much what? What do I owe you, sir, for the autograph?" "Oh man, my goddamn signature." And it wasn't until, Vince and all that stuff started where, now these guys nowadays, you're honored to be in a room with them, and you're honored if they talk to you. And if they give you an autograph for $75, you're honored, and they could care less. And no, Dad came from a different era. He told me once, Memorial Hall in Kansas City, there's this, the arena there. There's a stage with these big, huge velvet, whatever you call them, curtains. They go across the stage. Of course, the ring is in the middle of the auditorium, but there's still a stage. And these big, heavy curtains, and in fact, behind those curtains, because the curtains, the dressing room, were on the either side of the stage, is where Dwayne Johnson and I, when Rocky was wrestling my dad, when we were little kids, used to wrestle around in the back of Memorial Hall in Kansas City.
Wow.
Yeah, we'd throw the football around or whatever, or we'd poke through the curtains and watch our dads wrestling. and try to emulate them back there on the hardwood floor.
That's crazy. You know.
So I think I'm legitimately the first guy Dwayne ever wrestled.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm talking about The Rock, you know.
Yeah, The Rock. I was gonna.
Dad and I were standing there looking out through this curtain. I was a bit older, and when I say a bit older, pre-college, I don't know, something like that. And I'm looking out through there, and I'd traveled to all these countries with my father, all these promoters. I turned around, and I said, you know, seriously, I didn't know. I said, Dad, how do you get paid? He said, what do you mean? I said, well, I mean, like when we go to Japan, is it Bubba? And when we go to Australia, does Ron Miller? Does he pay? And then Sam Mushnick, of course, back then. Yeah. And you know, I mean, how does this all work? I mean, you get paychecks from all different organizations, whatever. He said, look out there. And I opened the thing, I look, and I see screaming fans and signs and whatever. And I said, yeah. He said, those people signed my paycheck.
Wow. Wow, that's very impressive.
Yeah.
Your dad knew. He took care of the fans. He knew the fans. You know.
Yeah, and that's but not more importantly, but very importantly, he brought me up to be humble, to be very accommodating. If he, like I said, when you said, "Is there anything off limits?" Or I'd ask me whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
Be accommodating because I don't know how many I get people's life stories on Facebook. They're telling me about their grit. They just broke up with their boyfriend. They want me to do something, you know, like say something to heal them. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to say.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can't, it's very hard to describe what it feels like to be someone that other people look up to or other people want to tell their life story to because of the accomplishments of my father.
Yeah.
And I always, you know, always direct them to look, hey, I didn't do anything. All I'm trying to do is keep his legacy alive.
That's great. That's really great. You know, on August 1st, 2019, your dad passed away. And you know, I remember we were at a convention and we had a moment of silence for your dad. And everyone just like he was loved and respected so much. When he passed, it hurt all the wrestling fans. You didn't see what I saw. How do you feel? You know, he's not here anymore. You know, you said you're writing the book, and it's kind of hard. Sometimes you got to close that book because he's still around, right? He's still part of you.
He is with me every day, in every decision I make, in every. I'm a God-fearing man. And I do daily devotions, and the daily devotion on the day he passed away was actually a long prayer by Paul in the book of Ephesians. And I memorized that prayer, and I say it at the end of every prayer I ever say.
Wow.
About my dad.
Wow.
It was just one of those, how did, how God works. I mean, how did this daily devotion on August 1st of 2019 so perfectly fit this day of my father's passing? I mean, how do you do that? And so I figured I took it upon myself to memorize it. And
what was the last moments like with Dad? What did he say to you?
He was in the hospital, pretty much incoherent. He had been diagnosed with lung cancer, and then he got pneumonia. And he was too weak for them to treat the lung cancer, but they could have treated the pneumonia, but the pneumonia was behind the lung cancer, so they couldn't treat either. It was either you're just going to get better or you're not. And my father, he passed his finish line 20, 30 years ago. Yeah, he did everything he ever wanted to do in this business on this planet. He used to tell me that he's one of the few people that got to do exactly what he wanted every day of his life.
Wow.
And that includes working.
Wow.
So I went to, he was in the hospital, and I went to the hospital and St. Charles, just north of St. Louis. And he didn't recognize or acknowledge anyone. He was pretty much out of it. But I laid my head on his chest and I started to cry. And he patted me on the back.
Wow.
That's how I knew he knew I was there.
You know, your dad was one of the greatest of all time.
2 days later, he was gone.
Wow.
It was like he was waiting for me to get there, and then because he didn't acknowledge anybody else in the room. But boy, when I laid my head on it, and I'm sure his chest could feel me crying. He did the same thing he did when I was a little boy. Put his hand on my neck.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's okay, man. After everything you experienced with Dad, and us fans, we love him. How would you want the world to remember your dad?
The most hilarious, toughest SOB that ever walked the planet.
That's actually right.
Do you remember E.F. Hutton, the old E.F. Hutton commercials?
Yes.
That's my father. When Harley talks, because like you said, he never says anything.
No, he didn't.
He's in the dressing room or whatever, and I mean, I know him like a book. I mean,
he didn't say anything.
He's getting ready to say something when he's doing this.
Oh yeah.
Everyone that knew him would start to quiet. I'd be like, I'd already been quiet. All of a sudden, he'd start to speak, and whether we were in a restaurant or wherever we were, everyone stopped talking till he's speaking. It's either going to be hilarious or full of wisdom.
Yeah. When your dad talked,
generally it was hilarious.
Yeah. People used to call him the general. I heard because that's the leader of the guy.
Well, he was the ring general. He was the dressing room general.
Yes.
You were talking about Tony Atlas earlier. One time, there's a bunch of Tony Atlas stories, but I'll just tell you a short one. Dad, the match wasn't going the way. Dad called match.
Yes.
All the guys want, what are we going to do here? What are we going to do there? What are we going to do? I'll tell you in the goddamn ring. And a lot of guys didn't know how to do that, and he taught them. They learned quickly in the ring, or they got hurt. And he was in with Tony, and Tony was impressive, but it wasn't in.
You're freezing up a little bit. You there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. You're good. You're good. Okay. I got you.
So, what was I saying about that?
Tony Atlas and him.
Yeah. I know there's so many stories about Tony Atlas. So he had Dad in a headlock, and Dad didn't like the way the match was going. He can read the fans. He listens. He knows. He can close his eyes and know what the fans are doing. And he grabbed a hold of Tony's nipple with his teeth. He said, "If I bite this thing anymore, are you?" "No, sir. No, sir." "Then do what the fuck I tell you."
Oh man, that's your dad.
Yep.
That was Dad.
That's the general. He was the ring general.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if he was wrestling Hogan during Hulkamania, if he was wrestling Flair and Flair was the champion, he called the match.
Yeah. I was at one of the shows, and Ric Flair had told a story about your dad, and I guess he was in the ring with, I don't know, maybe it was the Ultimate Warrior or somebody, and he got a little bit tough on your dad, and your dad gave him a receipt, what they call it. And he said he knocked the Ultimate Warrior on his ass where the Ultimate Warrior didn't know what to do. He said, "Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry." Because he got the receipt, as they call it in wrestling.
He did that to Stan and Brody in Japan once. He was with Nick Bockwinkel, and he usually led. He went out first. And Nick said, "I'll go out first." He said he'd heard Stan and Brody, and I want to preface this by saying that Bruiser Brody is one of the nicest men I've ever met. He and I were buds.
Really?
and his wife,
Barbara?
Barbara. We talk often. We'll see each other in St. Louis, but every time I'm around her, she asks me to tell this story.
Okay, go ahead.
So we're in Japan, tag team tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brody was with, I'm pretty sure he was with Stan. I think my dad might have been with Leon. With Henning.
Vader? Leon?
Larry Henning.
Oh, Larry Henning. Okay.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. So anyway, it's a tag team tournament. We're in the lobby of the hotel, and Bruiser Frank used to wear his, the old sweatpants with the elastic, and you pull them up like above your calf, and then you short your socks down. Well, he always wore his sweats like that and whatever. And I was like, I thought it was cool. So I pulled I thought I looked like Brody. Dad comes down into the lobby. He looks at Frank. He looks at me. He looks back at Frank. God damn it, Frank. Look how you have my son dressing. You both look like hobos. So we had a wonderful relationship with the man, and I do with Barbara. But though he and Stan could get a little crazy in the ring.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of those matches. They were crazy,
and they could get out of hand.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they could.
Dad said, Nick, this is one of those nights. Let me start. Nick said, I'll take care of it. Oh, they beat the hell out of poor Nick and Bockwinkel for like 10 minutes. Finally, Dad stepped in. And Stan tagged Brody, and Brody came, was stomping across him, and Dad just stopped him.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank, if you want to continue with this, you know what's going to happen. Just calm the fuck down. And Stan didn't hear this. So a bit later, Nick and Brody, and I don't think they were ever in the ring for the match.
Mm-hmm.
Dad's off with Dad. Dad's getting up in the ring, and Stan's on the outside, and he went to suplex Stan, and Stan sat down on him.
Wow, that's not good.
He said, "All right, you son of a bitch." So he just picked him up and did a real suplex. Mm-hmm. Whether Stan wanted to sit his 300 pound ass down or not, he was going over.
Yeah,
from the inside of the ring, over the top rope, back into the ring.
Yeah. What I could tell you is your dad is looking down, and he's very proud of you because you're a great guy to talk to. You're keeping his legacy alive. And the fans, we just appreciate you, Justin. I really do. Thank you so much for your time.
Again, the honor is mine.
The book is coming out when? Hopefully soon, correct? Hopefully soon.
I would hope to have something definitive in the middle of the year. I mean, editors are editors. I don't know what they're going to do. Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. And again, it's a difficult book to edit because it's just it's a story after story after story, and some stories get mixed in. Like I've been talking with you, one story will lead into another story, which leads into another story, and it's like, so which chapter is that? Yeah. Exactly. So the editors have their work cut out for them, but I got it on paper.
Yep. Where people can find you on Facebook, right? And you're on Instagram.
Facebook. I don't hide. Justin Race on Facebook. Justin_Race 05. On Instagram, or just Justin Race.
Yes.
There. It's 05 because 5 was my my number in football from when I was a little kid. Yeah, that was always my number. In fact, when my dad wore black and gold every once in a while? He always wore red, white, and blue.
Really?
Black and gold were my school colors.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, that's where he wore black and gold every once in a while.
That's really cool, man. Again, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you get up here so I could sit down and grab something to eat together.
Oh, I would love. Yeah, I would love to come up there and see you. I just tell some TSA workers to get back on the job, and I'll be up there.
Hopefully I'll see you at the big event. Thank you so much. Man. Thank you so much.
We had a ball.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
Started from nothing. Jersey streets, we owned it. JZ pumping iron. Bodybuilding.